Hello everyone. I've decided to start a new YouTube channel just to kind of reach out to anybody who's in a similar situation to myself. Basically, I'm 56 years old and I've been trying to find a job now for about 4 months. And something's either changed since I was last on the job market. I don't know whether um, the job market isn't as good as it used to be, or it's me. I'm just too old. Um, but I just wanted to reach out and see if anybody else is in the same situation to me. I've seen quite a few of these videos um, from channels based in the US and Canada, but I haven't seen anybody based in the UK, which is where I am in Manchester. So whether maybe I just haven't come across them or there isn't anybody producing content about this particular issue, but I feel that it's something that I need to address, and yeah, this is the purpose of me starting the channel. So so I'm 56 years old. I live in Manchester, and I've been an accountant for over 30 years now. The last kind of 12 years, I've been not self-employed, but working as a contractor through my own kind of limited company. People think of it as being self-employed. It's not really. You're actually working through your own company, but it's effectively contracting. I'm an interim, and I've quite enjoyed doing it, and the work's been fairly steady. I've had the odd gaps of 2 or 3 months in between contracts. Sometimes I just go straight on to a new contract. But I I finished work, or I finished my last contract back in March 2024. We're now in the middle of July 2024. So I've been out of work almost 4 months now, um, and I've been applying for jobs and I've been getting interviews. I must have had um, at least half a dozen interviews in that time. Um, and all the interviews have been really positive. My experience has been relevant. I've got on well with the people that have interviewed me. All these jobs have been through recruitment agents, so um, they're not just random jobs. They're jobs that have been kind of like pre-selected for through the agency that I've been with for years, 20 odd years. Um, and usually in the interim market, you get a phone call on Wednesday, interview Thursday, start Monday. It's that quick. And that's literally how it's always been. The only times when I've had kind of like more than a couple of week gap between contracts is when the job market's just been really quiet. Either it's been summer or it's been just before Christmas, or there's been some factor out there that would mean that you know um, the job market isn't as busy as it normally would be. But I've never had the situation before where I've had interviews after interview and just nothing happened. Um, I'm not even trying to get a permanent job. This is working as a contractor. These are for roles that potentially are only in the last 3 6 months. It's not as if the companies are making huge, you know, decisions about recruiting for a permanent position. These are just interim roles, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm happy to work, 6 9 months of the year and maybe have 2 3 months off, but not by choice, not have it imposed on me, which is where I'm at now. And I just wondered whether there's anybody else out there who's having a similar problem finding work. Whether people just start committing to roles, whether roles are being advertised and then they're just not getting final sign off, or whether it's my age, I don't know. I've had a couple of really positive interviews and then not heard anything for a couple of days, which usually isn't a good sign. And then the recruitment agents come back to me and said, yeah, they really like you. You know, you got on really well. I think they like your experience. You know, really got on well with you in the interview. Very personable. They just think you're overqualified. Now, when I first heard that, I think this is I think the second or third job that I interviewed for, kind of like around Easter time. I just thought, well, yeah, maybe they're right. And they kind of added the caveat that we really want you in the business, but just not in that role. We're going to try and find you a role that you'd be suited for. So, you know, I was really enthused at that. The recruiter was really enthused. I thought, yes, you know, they're going to get him, you know, in another position, a more senior position, you know, whatever. Of course, you know, nothing happened. The recruiter followed through a couple of times and, oh, you know, so-and-so's not got back, or this, you know, they're going in a different direction, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of thought on that occasion, I'll just you know, write it off. You know, I was overqualified for the role. There isn't another suitable role immediately available. Move on. So yeah, had more interviews. I think my CV. See, with my CV, because I've obviously been working for over 30 years now. My CV kind of only goes back to like 2008, because I'm kind of thinking, you know, I think the last, you know, 15 years is sufficient work experience to get put on a CV. So they can't. Someone looking at my CV probably won't be able to tell that I have been working for 30 years. They'll just see the last 15 years worth of work experience. Most of it is contract work, and you know, some contracts only last 3 months. If I put every single job on there for the last 15 years, you know, my CV would run to, you know, 6-7 pages, which nobody wants to read a 6-7 page. I tried to keep my CV down to, you know, 2.5-3 pages max, because, you know, I've hired people in the past, and you know, I really don't want to be wading through, you know, a 10-page CV. You just lose interest after page 2 anyway. So I think potentially people looking at my CV, recruiters looking at my CV, or companies, not the recruiter. The recruiter knows how old I am. But I think potential companies that, you know, are being approached by the recruiter are looking at my CV and thinking, oh, this guy's got 15 years work experience. He's probably only in his mid-30s. You know, and then, you know, my face pops up on the Teams call, and it's like, oh, this guy's not 35, he's pushing 60. So I think, you know, whether after that point they're kind of like just going through the motions of being polite and asking me a few questions and what's your experience, blah blah blah, and then it's kind of, you know, as soon as a recruiter calls back for feedback, it's, oh, we just think he's overqualified, you know, and that's what I keep hearing, and it's just blatant ageism. There's no way of dressing it up. It's just that they don't want, you know, a grizzly old git like me, you know, working in a team of, you know, 30 and 40 somethings. You know, I'm just going to be the grumpy old git in the corner, irrespective of, you know, how personal I am, you know, my people skills, how I can get on with people, all the rest of it. They just probably don't see me as a good fit, you know, and that's another thing as well, you know. As I've been contracting, you know, I've got to work in quite a few different offices, you know, round and about. And the thing that always strikes me is that most of the people that I'm working with, you know, are kind of like in the late 20s, 30s, early 40s. There's like nobody kind of like over 45 anywhere in the business. Maybe, you know, a senior partner if it's a family company or something, or, you know, a senior partner who probably pops into the office like 3 days a month. But, you know, all the people who are actually working, you know, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, they're all much younger than me. And I'm kind of thinking, well, you know, where are all the over 45s? Where are they? You know, because you just don't see them. Every company that I've worked at, certainly, you know, in the last 5 to 8 years, I have always been the oldest person in the room. You know, I'll go into a meeting, into a team meeting, with people, you know, of my grade, below and above, and you know, I'm always the oldest person in the room. You know, even if I was just like in my kind of like early 50s, I'd always be the oldest person in the room. Sometimes there'd be somebody who was kind of like older than me in the late 50s, early 60s, but that was an exception. I was usually the oldest person in the room. I just made me think, you know, where the hell are these people? What, you know, is just, you know, not many people can afford to retire, you know, at 50. I mean, we all dream of retiring at 50, but you know, when that time comes, you know, the bills still need paying. You know, unless you've got an inexhaustible set of savings, then you know, you do need to keep working, or at least to have some income coming in. I mean, luckily in the UK, once you hit 55, you can access any private pension that you have. You can just literally draw the whole lot out. So if you've got, you know, 100k in a pension pot, you can just draw the whole lot out at 55. I think some of it, 75% of it is subject to tax. The first 25% is tax free, and then the remaining 75% of whatever's in the pot, you get taxed on it. So I think either at 20% or 40%, or if you're an upper rate taxpayer, 45%. But you can access your pension. So I don't know whether is that what people are doing? Are people just, you know, that unhappy at work that they're just drawing down their entire pension at age 55, and then just, you know, seeing how things are going to work out? I mean, you know, I'm 55. My parents are still alive. My parents are still both going in their mid 90s. So, you know, I've potentially got another 40 years of life ahead of me. There's no way that, you know, my pension arrangements can you know, carry me through for another 40 years. Yes, I could sell my house, you know, release the equity in my house, etc. But, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to pass something on to my kids. You know, God help them that, you know, they're going to start out in the life without you know, any inheritance. It's because, you know, it's not like it was when we were, you know, when I was, you know, in my 20s. You know, you could buy a house in the UK. You could buy you know, you could buy a two bedroom semi in the UK for, you know, 40 grand. I bought my first house in 1995 in Leeds, a 2-bed semi for 45 grand. You know, that wouldn't even buy you you know, a parking space in the better parts of Manchester now. It's just crazy. So you know, I don't want to just spaff, you know, all my equity up the wall. I want to try and leave something for my kids. So it leaves me in the position that, you know, I do need to keep working. I can't simply rely on my pension and my state pension for the next 40 years. You know, there does need to be some income coming in. But at the moment, I just cannot get a job. I don't know whether it's a job market here in the UK. I've heard that the job market, you know, in the US and Canada is not good. You know, people, you know, even younger people, never mind my age, people in, you know, in the 20s and 30s are, you know, applying for dozens of jobs, just not getting anywhere. Even if they're getting interviews, they kind of like nothing ever, you know, follows through. So I'm just wondering, I'm just kind of reaching out to anybody else in the UK who's, you know, maybe just looking to find a job. Is it the job market at the moment? Is there something going on that, you know, nobody's reporting? Because you don't hear anything on the news about the job market being bad here in the UK. We just had a general election, but you know, I'm not entirely convinced that has been impacting the job market since Easter. You know, the election was only announced at the end of May. Election's over now. You know, Labour have got in with a huge majority. You know, hopefully, you know, Labour will kickstart the economy and things will start getting better. But there's certainly been not great here in the UK. Well, not from my personal experience anyway. I don't know. I've not heard anything either online or you know, on the TV or in the news about the job market in the UK. So I'd just be interested to hear what you know, what other people's experiences are. You know, I'm a experienced professional, an accountant. You know, 30 years work experience under my belt, more than 30 years. I'm just really struggling at the moment. So, you know, anybody else out there that's having a similar situation, let me know.